Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well and ready to get into the upper back a little bit. Yay. I was right to the point. We're doing eagle pose today, but I'll take you in steps through it. Sometimes I find in class a yoga teacher's like, okay, eagle pose, everybody. And then you're just like, I'm not ready for this. So we'll prep the legs, we'll prep the upper body, we'll prep the core, and then we'll combine all of that together. And hopefully by the end, you'll be soaring. And if you're not, it's okay because it's just yoga. Let's start lying down on the floor. If you're comfortable there, if you prefer to start somewhere else, feel free to start wherever you would like to. And depending on how your day has been so far, you might need to take some time to get some wiggles out, or a little stretch, or a yawn. Maybe you feel ready to be still right away, in which case, awesome. And then once you've found a position that you think will support you in stillness for a few minutes, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. A couple more, just like that. Inhale through the nose and exhale, sigh. And then continue breathing however feels best for you, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels really open and spacious, then fantastic. Acknowledge that for whatever it's worth. Maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way, in which case, fantastic. But you might gently try to lengthen through those parts of the breath just to smooth it out a little bit more. And then bring your focus to your back. What does your back feel like as you breathe here? What movement is there, if any at all? Maybe you notice a widening of your rib cage on the earth with every inhale, or a subtle pressing down of the lumbar spine with every inhale. Or maybe a lifting of the lumbar spine with every inhale. Last couple breaths here. And start to bring a little bit of movement back into your body. Whatever way feels best for you to wake up. Could be a little wiggle of the fingertips or toes, or a big yawning stretch, until you feel ready to extend your legs away from you, interlace your fingers and press your palms away and overhead. Excuse me, behind you. You might play with lifting your low back off the floor, or pressing it down, or pointing the feet, or flexing them. And then when you're ready, draw your knees in toward your chest and take a little rock from side to side. Your knees could be quite close toward you, getting a little bit more into mid and upper back. Or they could be further away, possibly even arm's length away, getting more into the pelvis. All right. And then pause here in center. Bring your feet to the floor, knees bent. Cross your right leg over top of the left. So it's not a figure four, it's just crossing the thigh over top the thigh. And then from here, sweep your right arm underneath your left arm. You could grab the back of the shoulders, or you might bring the hand palms together, do a full eagle bind. Now, if you're doing into sort of a fuller eagle bind, allow your hands to rest on your forehead. Right, so it's quite passive here. Option one is just to stay here. Option two is to start to press your low back into the earth. Maybe you come onto the toes of that left foot, or maybe you start to de-weight your legs and draw your knees toward you. Last option would be to gently curl your elbows toward your knees, lifting the upper back up off the earth, shoulder blades. Keep resting the hands on your forehead if they're folded, and then release to the earth. Unwind your arms and legs, shake it out a little bit, and then we'll switch sides. So left thigh crosses over top of the right, and then sweep your left arm underneath the right. Again, you might just grab the back of your shoulders here. That's fine. Particularly if you have an injury going on with your arm or your shoulder, you might be able to get a full eagle bind on one side, but not even close on the other, right? So don't worry about it. Go where you need to go. If you're taking a full eagle bind, let your hands rest to your forehead. Option one is to stay here. Option two is to start to de-weight the legs, curling the knees toward your elbows, right? Pressing your low back into the earth. And the last option is to curl the upper back off the floor, bringing your elbows toward your knees, squeezing everything toward each other. Last couple breaths. And then gently release. Unwind your arms, your legs, shake it all out. And then grab the backs of your thighs if you want to. You might rock and roll up and down the spine. You can play with it. If that doesn't feel good, then by all means, roll to one side, press yourself up, and we'll meet on hands and knees. So eventually, setting up here with your knees underneath your hips, toes can be tucked or untucked behind you, hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. Spread your fingers wide. Get a little bit active through those fingers. So start to claw the floor with the finger pads. And let's move through cat and cow. Inhale, lift the tailbone. Hollow through the lower back. Broaden through your collarbones. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, around through through your spine rather. Press the floor away like crazy. I really want you to concentrate on opening through the shoulder blades. And then inhale, dip into cow. Exhale, round into cat. So a few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. Maybe you shift your weight further forward into your hands and see how that feels through cat and cow. Maybe you send your weight further back into your knees. Maybe you just take big circles and go wherever you need to go. Sometimes a little wag of the tail can feel good, or barrel rolls through the chest. Go where you need to go. And if you don't know where you need to go, then play with it. Explore the different movements. All right, and then come back to center. A little draw of belly button to spine, or you can shake out the hands if you wish. If you have a pillow or a block or something like that nearby, it might be handy for this next little section. And then plant your left hand. Take your right arm out to the side. You might extend it, or you might bend your elbow to give yourself a little bit of a break on that muscular activation. And then we're going to take little twists. But imagine you've got something on your pelvis or your low back. You want that to stay totally stable, and the twist is just coming through the thoracic spine. And it's weird. I can't even tell if I'm doing it properly, but because I don't have a mirror. right? But you just have to rely on the feedback of your body. If you had a foam roller or something like that, you could balance it on the low back. But as much as possible, just trying to keep the pelvis and lumbar spines still and twisting from the ribs upward. Maybe you bring the arm up on a Y and continue those little twists. All right, on your next inhale, open as much as you want to, up to the right. Exhale, thread and twist to the left. Don't get too cozy. Press back into your left hand. Inhale, open and up. And exhale, thread. One more time. Inhale, open. Exhale, thread. And this time, settle towards the earth. You might bring the back of the shoulder to the floor, the side of your head. This is a great place, as I said, to maybe bring a pillow or a block underneath your head just to give yourself a little bit more lift. You could bring the heel of that left hand into the crease of the right wrist, getting more traction on that side of the body. Maybe you reach your arm up to the sky or drape it behind your low back. You could walk your fingertips up to the top edge of the mat or even over to the right. Go wherever feels most interesting for you. All right, and then plant your left hand. Inhale, unwind. Shake it out, little wiggle or cat and cow. And then we'll switch sides. So plant your right hand. Take your left arm out to the side. Again, your elbow could be extended or you could bend it and start those little thoracic twists, right? So keep going, right? The thoracic spine is where the ribs attach, essentially, right? Your thorax. And because there are ribs there, right, they restrict the amount of movement that you can take through the upper body versus the lumbar spine, which is just totally on its own, right? So keep these little rotations going as still as possible through the pelvis and low back. Maybe take the arm up on a Y and try those twists, or even overhead. All right, on your inhale, open all the way up to the left. Exhale, thread to the right. Press back into that hand. Inhale, open. Exhale, thread. One more time. And then this time, settle towards the earth. Again, you might bring the back of the shoulder, the side of the head down. And maybe you stay here. Maybe you play around with what the right hand is doing. And you heel the hand into the crease of the wrist or drape it behind the low back. Again, if you don't know where to bring that right hand, play with it. Explore, if you wish. This is a good pose for seeing things you might have lost underneath your sofa, like a cashew, for instance. All right, bring your right hand back to the earth. Inhale, unwind, shake it out a little bit. And then you can stay here, moving and grooving in cat and cow if you wish. If you'd like to join me, then tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Hug your upper arm bones toward each other. Press the floor away from you a little bit more with the hands. And I want your fingers spread really wide. Right? Grip the mat with the finger pads. Send the weight out of the heels of your hands. Right? So the wrists should never end up feeling crunchy here. That's not to say that they won't, right? It just means that you have to work on engaging through the fingers to fire up the muscles of the forearms so that you can start to protect the wrists when you bear weight on your hands. All right, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of the mat, standing forward fold. I don't mean that to sound judgy, right? When I started yoga, my wrist got crunchy too. So it just takes practice. It takes time. You could rest your elbows on your knees or thighs if you want to, or bring blocks underneath your hands just to bring the floor up to you. You could clasp opposite elbows with hands. You could sway a little bit from side to side. Just do whatever you need here at this moment. And then bring your fingertips to your shins. Inhale, little part way lift. Exhale, let it go. Couple more. And then bend your knees, tuck your chin in toward your chest, slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time, really slow. If you're all the way up, keep rolling. Come back down. And eventually, once you come all the way up, take a little loop of your shoulders up, back, and down, or a little wiggle, noodle, or shake out. Excuse me for one moment. That's better. Okay. Feet hip width apart-ish. Let's sit into chair pose. So hips down and back, tailbone to the earth slightly till you feel your belly button engaged toward your spine. And now these knees going to want to cave in because it's easier, right? But you're not working as hard. So send the knees out to the baby toe edges of your feet. This becomes a stronger position when your glutes are able to engage that little bit more. When you look down, you want to be able to see all 10 toes, maybe even de-weight them. If you can't, your knees are too far forward and your hips are too far forward, so send your hips back. All right, send your weight over to your right foot. Come onto the toes of the left foot. A little twinge in my knee, that's never good. Couple taps up and down with the left leg, just to find your balance. And then maybe you extend the left leg forward and then pick it up or tap down in the center. And then take it out to the left and center. Make sure you've still got chair pose on this right leg. And bring it behind and center. Back out to the left and center. And then curtsy to the right and center. And then come down to the middle. Pause here. Your right leg is going to want to send you left, but you make that decision, not your leg. Or rather, follow me. Now go over to your left leg. Again, make sure this left knee is bent and your hips are back, right? So you still have chair pose on that left leg. Couple taps up and down with that right foot. And then extend the leg forward and bring it back to center or tap down. And then out to the right. And then center. And then behind and center. Back out to the right and center. Curtsy to the left and center. And then come back down to the middle chair pose in the center. Last couple of breaths here. All right, inhale, stand up. Shake it out a little bit. Bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips. Take a few hip circles one direction. And then the other. All right, let's open up through the chest before we start closing it. So bring your hands to your pelvis, fingertips pointing down. Wrap your elbows, your shoulder blades toward each other. Squeeze the shoulder blades, right? Squeeze your bum. This might be enough. If you would like to deepen it, bend your knees, squeeze your bum even more. Start to press your hips forward to lift your heart up to the sky. So try as much as possible to not dump into your lower back, right? The shoulder blades wrap toward each other to create a little platform to lift the heart up higher. Last breath here. All right. Come back to center. Shake it out. All right. Eagle pose. Let's try it. We've warmed up the balance. We've warmed up the arms a little bit. So I'm first going to start with the legs. Then we're going to do the arms. And then we're going to combine them. So weight goes to the right foot. Little buoyancy on that knee, right? Because if the knee's not bent, your glutes aren't working as hard, which means you don't have as much strength. Come onto the toes of the left foot, but turn your leg in, right? And then I want you to think of sort of spiraling your thighs, inner thighs toward each other and back, so the hips go back a little bit more. So it's kind of like a toddler who has to go pee, right? Not to put too fine of a point on this. And then start to cross your left leg in front. Now your toes can stay on the floor, right? This is going to give you a lot more balance. If you want to try for a little bit more, then you can pick up the foot, rest it on the side of the calf, or maybe it wraps around behind. And that kind of just depends on the shape of your legs. Keep spiraling your inner thighs toward each other and back. That's going to make you send your hips further back and bend your supporting knee a little bit more. So eventually this bottom leg almost becomes a shelf for the top leg. but keep hugging the legs toward each other. Doesn't mean this top leg can rest. And then arms out to the side for a little bit more balance if you aren't already there. Last couple breaths. Okay, and then inhale, unwind, shake it out. Why do we do that turning in thing? Because if your leg is turned out as you try to cross it, there's no way you're going to get the wrap. Also, the internal rotation is something we don't do a lot of in yoga. So it's good to do it when you have the opportunity to. Okay, let's try the other side. So weight to your left foot. Again, buoyancy on that supporting knee, right? Hips back, take the right toes out, turn your leg in. Right? Send your hips back. Start hugging the legs toward each other even here. Maybe you cross the front leg in front, keeping the toes on the floor for stability. Maybe you have a wall. Maybe you pick up the leg and find some sort of wrap. Maybe it wraps all the way around the behind. And then again, I want that sort of sensation of wrapping your thighs, inner thighs toward each other and back. So your hips will travel back. Whew. This is my less stable side. Hips back. Hug the legs toward each other like crazy. Right? Arms out to the side for balance. Belly bend to spine. Right? You've got chair pose on that bottom leg. That's why we worked chair pose. All right. And then inhale, unwind, shake it out. Right? If that bottom leg is straight, again, you're not going to have the wrap. So knees bent, hips back, becomes a really surprisingly stable position. Let's forget about the legs for a moment. Okay, take your arms wide. And on your inhale, sweep your left arm under your right. You can grab the backs of the shoulders, bring the arms together, or maybe there's some sort of bind fingertips into the palm. Wherever you are, think of lifting your elbows and gliding your shoulder blades down your back. So when we are on our backs, we let the hands rest here. But this time, if you're in the bind, I want you to think of peeling your hands away from your forehead. So you're getting a deeper stretch into the neck and the upper back. Make sure that you're not dumping into the low back. So squeeze the bum for posture, right? Even if you're just grabbing your shoulders, not just. Think of lifting your elbows. All right, bend your knees and then start to pull your elbows forward, round through the upper back. Maybe you stay up high, maybe you come down a little bit lower, right? Getting wherever you need to in your back, but really think of pulling the elbows forward or down towards the earth and bend the knees, otherwise you can't get as deep a stretch as you would like. All right, on your inhale, stand back up, unwind your arms, flap your wings, pretend you're eating. No, I'm just joking. Shake it out a little bit. Okay, it's subtle, but there is a difference from one side to the other. So let's try the other side. Sweep the right arm under the left. Again, you might grab the back of the shoulders or find some sort of eagle bind. For me, I wasn't able to do one side for like a year and a half because of a shoulder injury, right? So just, if it's painful, don't do it. Back out of it, right? Take the space or the option that gives you more space. Anyway, lift your elbows, glide your shoulder blades down your back, and then again, peel the hands away from your face. Little squeeze of the bum. For me today on this side, I really feel this getting into my neck, whereas on the other wrap, I didn't feel it much at all. Keep lifting the elbows. Okay, now bend your knees, tuck your tailbone under, pull your elbows forward, round through the spine. Maybe you stay up high, getting into the muscles between the shoulder blades, rhomboids. Maybe you round forward a little bit more, getting lower down into the back. So go where you need to go. But the more that you're able to pull those elbows forward and bend your knees and tuck the tailbone, the more of a stretch you're going to get. All right, inhale, stand back up, unwind your arms, shake it out a little bit. We don't have a lot of time, so let's add those two things together. So eagle pose, one time on each side. We'll try it, right? You can always do just the arms or just the legs. or both. So send the weight over to your right foot, a little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Again, left leg starts turned in, and then cross it over, either toes to the floor, or foot to the calf, or maybe it wraps around behind. Spiral those thighs toward each other and back. Sink a little bit deeper into the hips and into the knee. Hug the legs toward each other. Maybe you float here, or maybe you sweep your left arm under the right and take some sort of eagle arms. Now, as soon as we bring the arms in front of our face, we kind of lose that point of focus for the eyes, so the balance will be challenging here. But think of staring through your arms. Last couple breaths. All right. And then inhale, unwind, shake it out a little bit, shake out those legs. Some days the balance is easier than others. I don't know, that felt really good for me. We'll see how this side goes though. Okay, bend your knee, turn the leg in on that right foot, and then cross in front or pick it up or wrap. Set the legs up though. Spiral the thighs toward each other and back. All right, really hug the legs toward each other. It's a fantastic place to stay. Or maybe you sweep the right arm under the left, grab the back of the shoulders, or some sort of eagle bind. Yeah, this side's wobblier for me. So a few more breaths here. Keep hugging the legs toward each other for stability. Little draw of belly button to spine. Right? Every pose is a core pose. Woo. All right, inhale, unwind, shake it out. Bring your hands to your pelvis, fingertips point down. Wrap your elbows, your shoulder blades toward each other. Lift your heart up to the sky. Little counter stretch. And then release. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little part way lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, come down to hands and knees. And then shift your hips on one side. Swing your legs forward, roll down onto your back. You know me. I like to give you a twist. So even though we're almost running over time, let's move into a twist. So draw your knees to your chest. Take your right arm out to the side. You might shift your hips right a little bit to start with. And then exhale, lower the legs to the left. And this can be as gentle or as deep as you need. You might look along your right arm to finish off the spiral in your neck. Last couple breaths here. All right, on your inhale, return to center, reset your pelvis and your spine. Take your left arm out to the side, maybe shift your hips left. Exhale, lower the knees to the right. Again, you can do any variation of twist that you want to. But hopefully you're feeling a little bit of an opening through the chest after getting into the upper back so much. Last few breaths here. And then inhale, unwind. Come back to center. And then start to make your way into your final resting pose, which could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation, wherever you need to go. And there's no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. Let go of your breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your neck or your jaw. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.